and welcome back to the channel. And on today's video, I am gonna be ranking all the Pixar villains from worst to best. First of all, please note that this is my opinion. These aren't facts, okay? So don't go crazy in the comments. But anyways, before we start, let me just explain the rules. The first rule is no minor villains or secondary villains. So no Underminer from The Incredibles duology and no Waternoose from Monsters Inc. And I'm not gonna count Gabby since she did turn good at the end and offer Woody his voice box back. The villains I'll be counting are Sid, Hopper, Stinky Pete, Randall, Darla, Syndrome, Chick Hicks, Skinner, Otto, Charles Muntz, Lotso, Miles Axlerod, Johnny Worthington, Thunderclap, Jackson De La Cruz, and the Screenslaver. Now that we got the rules out of the way, let's officially begin the video. You want to hear and I want to explain, so let's start. In last place, I'm gonna have Johnny Worthington from Monsters University because I feel like he's one of the most average film villains ever. Like, he doesn't have a good backstory or a good purpose of being a villain. Like, he just wants to win the scare games and humiliate Team OK. So that's why I'm putting him in last place. Also, the movie he's in doesn't help either. In second to last, I'm gonna have Miles Axlerod from Cars 2. I feel like he's a weak twist villain, and to be honest, by the point when they figured out he was a villain, I was too lost and confused by Cars 2. Like, it's way too long and nothing in it makes sense. So, in second to last, I'm gonna put Miles Axlerod. Next, I'm gonna have Thunderclap from The Good Dinosaur. Like Johnny Worthington, I feel like Thunderclap is too average, and so is the movie he's in. Like, Thunderclap's backstory is not that good, to be honest. So I'm gonna have him in third to last. Next, I'm gonna have Chick Hicks from Cars. Don't get me wrong, Chick Hicks, isn't that bad. I mean, his backstory is good, but his personality is horrible. Like, he's so obnoxious, and don't get me wrong, I love me an obnoxious villain, but here they just over-exaggerated it. In 13th place, I'm gonna have Darla from Finding Nemo. And she doesn't really count as a villain. I mean, sure, in the fish's perspective, she is a villain because she murders one each year on her birthday. But from the human's perspective, she's just a normal kid. So I'm gonna place her number 13. Next, I'm gonna have Jackson Storm from Cars 3. And this is the first good villain on the list. Jackson Storm, he doesn't really have a backstory, but he has a really good personality and he's a good villain overall. So I'm putting him in front of Darla. In front of Jackson Storm, I'm gonna have Sid from Toy Story. And like Darla, he doesn't really count as a villain since he doesn't know that the toys are alive. And when he did, he stopped doing, what he did to them. But he's way too iconic to put in the bottom of the list. And overall, he is intimidating and scary to the toys. So I'm gonna have him in 11th place. In 10th place, I'm gonna have Skinner from Ratatouille. Skinner has some funny jokes here and there.
Welcome to hell.
And I like the scene where he gets Linguini drunk so he can tell him the truth. But overall, he's average, but at least he has a backstory and personality, unlike the rest. In front of Skinner, I'm gonna have Stinky Pete from Toy Story 2. Now, I love Stinky Pete's plot twist, his backstory and personality, But he has one problem, and that's how easily he is beaten. Like, they made him look so intimidating and scary, but like, the toys beat him so easily. So, in 9th place, I'm gonna have Stinky Pete. And in 8th place, I'm gonna have Otto. Now, Otto's plot twist was good, I guess, and his personality is good, but he has the same problem as Stinky Pete. That, like, he is beaten too easily. But the reason I put him above Stinky Pete is that he's a bigger threat. He's a threat to the whole human race, while Stinky Pete is just a threat to the toys. So in 8th place, I have Otto. In 6th place, I'm gonna have Hopper from Bug's Life. Now, Hopper is probably one of, if not the most intimidating Pixar villain, and that's why I put him up so high. But other than that, he has a great speech and he has a great cause of being a villain, so that's why I put him in the number 6 spot. In 5th place, I'm gonna have Charles Muntz from Up. Now, I believe that Charles Muntz is really good and he has an amazing backstory and he has great and funny henchmen. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Charles Muntz. But I do have one problem with Charles Muntz. It may be a small one, but it still triggers me. So the problem I have with Charles Muntz is that he is 92 and how is he so active? Like, how is he shooting guns and walking? I mean, Mama Coco is only like 7 years older than him in Coco, and she can barely move her eyes. Like, I don't know, that seems messed up to me. In 4th place, I'm gonna have Lotso from Toy Story 3. Now, I believe that Lotso is a very good villain. He has a flawless backstory. His plot twist is good, but I have one problem about him, and that's I can't take him as an evil character seriously when he has that appearance. I mean, a pink strawberry hugging bear. I mean, like, that's not evil. Like, his colors and his purpose are not evil. So that's why I didn't put him in the top 3. Three villains remain, and they are Syndrome, Randall, and Ernesto De La Cruz. Which one will prevail and have the number 1 spot? Find out right now. But before you find out, we have a word from our guest here. She has been watching Disney and Pixar for over 20 years, and she's gonna tell you her personal top 3.
Hey, I'm May, and I'm joining this channel just to say my opinion on who's my favorite Pixar villain. I'll be ranking them from worst to best, and those are my top 3. Number 3 spot will go to De La Cruz from Coco. I think he's very smart and sneaky. I'm not encouraging his behavior, of course, but I think it's so interesting when you watch the movie. The plot twist came out of nowhere, and the character itself, it's very interesting. Number 2 will definitely go to Hopper from A Bug's Life. I think he's a strong leader. He made his point and he achieved what he wanted. He made the ants work for him and he scared the grasshoppers. It was by force and it's wrong, but he just cared about his grasshoppers and he was so intimidating. I remember seeing the movie when I was a kid and he was so scary. So that's a real villain we're talking about. And of course, let's not forget about his amazing speech when he said, if you let one ant stand in our way, you might let them all stand in our way. And he encouraged the grasshoppers and make them go for what they want. I mean, that's an amazing writing, to be honest. That's what made him stand out to me. And number 1 would be, of course, Syndrome from The Incredibles. Syndrome is a very smart and intelligent character. He's just a misunderstood child and mistreated by the only person who he cared about, Mr. Incredible. And he literally broke his heart. He carried that pain growing up. And I believe in every experience in your childhood could turn into something in the future. I just think Pixar's writers did their best job writing his backstory. They made him relatable and believable. And above all of that, he have the best monologue. He have the gadgets. His creations or inventions are amazing. The only issue here that he couldn't care less about the city or the people. That was a little bit selfish, but the writers did a great job by putting a very strong reason behind his actions. This is it. Those are my favorite top 3 Pixar villains, and I want to thank Cheesecake Huddle for having me, and I cannot wait to hear your list.
And now it's time for my personal top 3, so let's continue. In third place, I'm gonna have Randall from Monsters Inc. I feel like Randall is very intimidating, and I love how he wants to be the top scarer by force. And I remember he got that suck machine thing for Boo. It was so scary, and that's what makes Randall special, so I'm putting him at top 3. In second place, I'm gonna have Ernesto De La Cruz from Coco. I absolutely love his plot twist, and Ernesto De La Cruz, I love how he would do anything to seize his moment. The La Llorona clip where Mama Imelda sings on stage explains it perfectly. And overall, he has a great personality as a villain. He's not intimidating or anything, he's just weak, and he knows that he is weak, so he would do anything to seize his moment. And in first place, of course, this was very obvious, Syndrome. His backstory is so perfect. He was a kid who had no one to look up to except Mr. Incredible, and after his hero let him down, he changed completely. I love Syndrome's story so much. It's one of the best things about The Incredibles, and overall, that's what makes him the best Pixar villain. So, Syndrome is at number 1. Okay, this is the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and comment down below telling me how I did. But I have to go now, so goodbye and stay safe.